Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Um, this is a review of Godzilla 2014. I did this review the day after I saw the movie on May 16th, and I just had a stream of consciousness that I let go. And some of you have already heard one of those aspects of that stream of consciousness when I talked about the fake kaiju fans. But so I went back and listened to everything, and I tried to edit it, but I said, you know what? Let me just redo it because there was a lot of information that I just blurted out, and I just wanted to get it into a concise package for everybody, so the video wouldn't be 20 minutes long. But to get straight to the point, I am a kaiju fan. I love this movie. I love how they handle Godzilla, and I'm very satisfied with it. Now, just to get straight to the point and make this review, be brief and succinct, I'm going to deal with the negatives first because I have more positives to say than I do negatives. So let me get the negatives out of the way and also address a lot of things that people are probably hearing. So for the person that's sitting on the fence and trying to decide whether they should go and see this movie, I'll let you know the negatives first and then I'll give you the positives. Okay, negatives first. If I had to make a complaint or critique of this movie, I would say that the biggest drawbacks are the teasing of Godzilla and the character development. Now, keep in mind, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the teasing, and I didn't have a major problem with the character development. Um, I do understand how people feel about it, and this review is more so for the casual Godzilla fan than the kaiju fan. So just bear with me, my fellow kaiju fans. I'm trying to talk to a person that um, knows something about Godzilla, but not quite, and trying to decide whether they should see this movie. Um, you'll get teased about of Godzilla throughout the movie, and it's not really a really big reveal until later on in the movie, and some real action in that third act where you get to see Godzilla in all of his glory. Now, the first teaser, um, I didn't have a problem with it. I actually thought that it was funny. I thought that it fit. It didn't feel like it wasn't right. I didn't feel like I was pissed about it. Second teaser, I can see you being pissed. You know what I'm saying? Like I even like me and my friend that went to see it was like, oh man, come on. It's like you feel like um, you're on a date and you're getting to, you're at third base and you're trying to go home, and yet you get like an obstacle thrown in front of you, and it's like I understand the what that Gareth Edwards was trying to do with that. But I just think that there's a fine line between teasing and pissing people off, and it's an argument to be made that he might have passed it when he did that in the second tease before you get to the third act. And there's even an argument to be made about the first one, but I just feel like the first one didn't feel bad to me. It didn't feel like I understood what that meant, and I would have preferred to have seen more, but really, I mean, the way that it played out, you got to see it, but it was the way in which you saw it that people might have had a problem with. But that second one, now the character development. Um, this one I'm going to address to the Godzilla fans because this is something that they may not quite understand why people are having such an issue with it. Um, think of Jurassic Park. Think of Aliens. Think of those characters, even the minor characters in that movie. They all had these distinct, interesting personalities. The way that the characters were handled in this movie is sort of, and this is, I think a lot of it has to do with Gareth Edwards being a first time, second time director. He did his first movie, but he's a new director. And I think he's going to get better because Lord knows, he has the base and the understanding of film and the visual eye to make him a giant in this industry. But where he has to concentrate on, and I think his biggest weakness is character development. You get the things that these characters do, but you don't really connect with them. It seems like everything is on a superficial level when it comes to them. Now, keep in mind, I'm critiquing the negatives, but I'm not saying that this takes from the overall experience. I'm just critiquing from my expertise in it. Um, Bryan Cranston, you're going to hear things about him is how he's not the main character. Now, the thing about this is, if I were to get this script and I saw the character that Bryan Cranston played, and I didn't know that Bryan Cranston was going to be playing the character, then the way that things played out would have made perfect sense on paper. But see, this is the problem. When you get a great actor, it kind of changes what you do with the character on film. Like when Heath Ledger got a hold of Joker, the way that he translated that character was just legendary. When Tom Hiddleston got a hold of Loki, Loki was not really a level Marvel villain or villain in general. He wasn't like a Joker level. Joker is like the ultimate villain to me. So he wasn't on that level to me. But the way that Hiddleston played him, I mean, God, he totally killed the role. So on paper, I can understand why they did what they did with that character and not make him the main character. But in reality, because Bryan Cranston was so damn good, I would have liked to have seen that play out and make him be, if not the main character, maybe dual main characters, where as his son is going through the things that he has to do on the ground, I think it would have been great to see Bryan Cranston and Ken Watanabe together doing their thing in conjunction with the son doing his thing. Because then I think that what makes the lack of Godzilla into the third act stand out is that weak character development or thinly characters thinly made, and the lack of that dynamic. Because if you would have had Bryan Cranston and Ken Watanabe going off of each other, that would have been engaging. The dialogue would have been engaging. Those scenes without Godzilla would have more than made up for the fact that Godzilla wasn't present. But if you don't have that going on, or any real interesting characters going on, then it makes Godzilla's absence stand out even more, if that makes sense. Now let's get to the positives. Godzilla. Oh my God. God, if you are a kaiju fan, the way that they did Godzilla will be so satisfying. All of the very things that we love about that character, they did it, man. They hit it out of the ballpark. And that's why I love this movie. That 1998 Zilla will be totally extinguished from your mind and the mind and the consciousness of the general public. If this is what the general public sees, or this the first thing that pops into their head when they think of Godzilla, then we've won. We've totally won. I'm totally satisfied. His look and his behavior and the things he does are going to have you gripping your seat in excitement like a little kid. Another thing is positive. His opponents, the Muto, are well designed. Their origin story, their design, the CGI, how they face him as an opponent, all great, very satisfying, because you got to have a villain or an opponent for Godzilla to fight that's worthy, and they were more than worthy. They are definitely more than worthy to be put into that category of famous Godzilla opponents. So bravo, well done. Um, a lot of people had some issues with the structure of Godzilla being in the third act and full reveal, or not really revealed into the third act. But if you remember, Godzilla versus Destroyer is not much different than that movie. The first and second act was the build up, giving you the origin story of the Destroyer and seeing more of the Destroyer and seeing it go through its phases of development until it gets to the final phase where it gets to face Godzilla and then Godzilla comes on at the end. What's the difference? Like I said, if you're a kaiju fan, this is not really going to take you out of the experience. But as a general movie goer, this might be an issue, because if you go in there expecting to see wall-to-wall Godzilla from beginning to end, I'll let you know right now you're going to be disappointed, because that's not how First of all, that's not how Godzilla movies work in the first place. Another positive is that the third act is very satisfying. It's very satisfying, and it leaves you wanting more. Rob from ETN said something, and I think he put it better than anybody. He said Gareth Edwards um, gives you a thirst, and then he quenches it at the end. But the good thing about the end is that he quenches it at the end, but he still gives you a little. He doesn't just overflow it. He gives you wanting more Godzilla. At the end of this, when you leave the theater, you're gonna want more Godzilla. Now that can either be in a good way or a bad way, but it'll definitely want you to see what they did with that character and see a sequel, guarantee you. And when they see the critiques of this first movie, I think this will be solved in the second movie, and I think the second one is going to be the one that's going to really blow our socks away. Now, what do I grade this? I give it a B plus, or I give it an 8 to 8.5 out of 10. It's a good, solid movie, and it has some issues. It has some issues with story structure that I would have went a completely different way with. But I do understand the way that they went, and I think, like I said at the beginning, if you watch what I said at the beginning again, you'll see that it's Bryan Cranston. It's like if you take Denzel Washington and put him in a role, it's kind of hard to not have him be the main character because he's so engaging, he's so good an actor that you want to see that throughout the movie. So if you don't see him as the main character, then you better have somebody there that can hold your interest on the same level as him, or else you're going to hear complaints, and that's what's going on right now. The casual fan um, should either like this movie or get pissed off due to the teasers and the lack of Godzilla. The kaiju fan is going to love this movie and absolutely love how Godzilla was treated. And this is the last thing I want to say. Comparisons to Zilla 1998, just dismiss that as trolling to be ignored. If you hear anybody say, "Oh, the 1998 version was better," just dismiss them as trolls. That's all. They don't take that seriously. No one can say with a straight face that this was a bad movie. It was a good movie. It was a solid movie. Your only issue is you might have some issues with the teasing. The casual fan might definitely get pissed them off, and you might have some issues with the character development if you're a casual fan. But as a kaiju fan or just a person who just loves good, solid entertainment, go see this movie. It's definitely worth it. And by you supporting it, you'll get to see more monster movies like this if this is what you like. And that's my review. And I might do a spoiler review. There's a good chance I might do that, but I'll let you know. For now, this is my Godzilla non-spoiler review, and I'll talk to you good people later. Peace.